Radio. You can catch up with all our shows by visiting our YouTube channel or by listening back at ttradio.org. Don't forget to like and subscribe to enjoy more live education conversation from TTR. We hope you enjoy this show.
Outstanding and world-class vision and world-class this.
I'm a real leadership geek, honestly. I've spent my whole career reading books and chatting to people.
I just find the whole thing and the announcement, the way it's been announced, bizarre.
If you could move away from a model where teachers are so intensely focused.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Tuesday Twilight Show with me, Timia Kadar at Teachers Talk Radio. We meet here live every second Tuesday from 6 p.m. And talk about a hot topic in higher education with my brilliant guests. Then you can obviously listen back on your favorite podcast channels, and you can also follow us live on various social media channels. And thank you so much to all of you who are already here and follow us now. Today's topic is going to be a very exciting one, AI in learning and teaching. And I know you're telling me that, that again. Today, I invited a guest. I will very soon invite to the stage Dr. Sonal Jain, who will talk about real examples that she implemented successfully as part of the session. So today we really talk about not just some tools, not just an introduction and vague examples, but how to use it to actually engage students more than ever before. Okay, so obviously we also talk about the challenges and how to make sure that a team is also engaged, because not everybody can come with us right away. But before we do that, I just would like to give a huge shout out to our partner and sponsor, Hashi Learning, who sponsored this show, and they are publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. If you want to level up your professional development today, visit hashelearning.com and you can explore the full range of their titles, which also includes AI, assessment, engaging students, and all these topics that are absolutely in huge focus these days. And I also would like to draw your attention to AQA, who are now looking for examiners. Teachers like you to become examiners this summer. You'll build your CPD, strengthen your understanding of the mark scheme, and gain fresh insights to enhance your teaching. It's a flexible paid work that you can do on top of your teaching that fits around your commitments, with full training from our experts and ongoing support from an experienced team leader. Whether you are in your early careers or have years of classroom experience, examining with AQA is a valuable way to develop your knowledge and join a community of subject specialists. So if you visit the website, you will find more information about it, and please apply. And now I would like to invite to the stage Dr. Sonal Jain. Hello, Sonal, who is actually coming back now. We previously had her talk about personal branding. It's great to have you back, Sonal. Thank you for accepting the invitation. And I'm sure it's not for the last time. So Sonal is currently Associate Dean at the London Metropolitan University, but I've known her for years. We worked together, and I already invited her also to our university to give a CPD digital badge, which all of us enjoyed a lot. So today's topic is going to be AI in learning and teaching and in the classroom, and how we do it. When we talk about AI in higher education, the first thing we think about, how to create content with it. And when we talk about how we use it in the classroom, the most frequent thing I hear is, I use it to have brainstorming or ideate. But Sonal will introduce some other examples. But before we go there, Sonal, can I just ask you, I know that you're always looking for new ways and you are an early adopter. Can you remember the first time you heard about AI and the first time you thought about it, oh, how can I introduce it in the classroom? So if you can just, probably it was a few years back now, but can you still remember how it was?
In all honesty, I was introduced to AI by one of my students
Okay, good.
because I saw them using, uh, and I was going in rounds to see how it was a classroom activity, and I was going around to see how they are doing. Is it clear? And then I saw someone using something, and they tried to hide it. I was like, okay, what is it? What were you doing? Was it shopping, watching? What was happening? And then they said, I'm using this application. It's an AI, it's ChatGTP, and it helps me with my work. And I was like, okay, why not? How many of you use this? And I was surprised, majority of us, we all use it. And I was like, okay, who would like to show me how you use it? And apparently they were like, are you sure? I was like, yes, there's no penalty associated with it. Teach me. And they explained briefly how they're using it for this activity. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then, of course, after the session, I tried to explore, see what it is, create an account, get downloaded, and then here I am talking about AI.
Yes, absolutely. And this is amazing. And this is flipped classroom at best, right? When when the students use it. And I know that you're so fascinating with this, with flipped classroom. It was interesting today. I had a parents' evening with my son's teacher. It's A level. And that was the teacher's feedback that, oh, he resorts too quickly to AI without thinking. And I was like, obviously, I don't want to defend my son, but I talked to him actually, and he says that, no, I use it when it makes sense. So, and this is something that what you say, that when the student uses it, then why don't we just see how they do it and then reflect on it, right? But let's now jump to today's world, when you beautifully incorporated it into the whole work in the classroom. So as opposed to just being one of the tools that students would use anyway, but how can you please share with us those examples that I already know, how you make sure that it actually becomes engaging for them?
I mean, firstly, what is really important is to understand and accept the fact that AI is already in our classroom. I like it, don't like it, agree, disagree. There's no stopping it. Students love it for any reason, doesn't matter. They're loving it. They're using it on regular basis for writing their work or for better understanding, for clarification. So it's a part of the classroom. And that's the ground reality. And then second, I'm really passionate about it. I really thought it's a beautiful tool which could really facilitate learning process of the student. And for me, it's more like a virtual assistant.
Okay.
So what I started doing, oh yes, go ahead.
No, yeah, we will come there, but that was an interesting thing. And this is exactly what I'd like to point out, that we have to accept they are using it. In all cases, or would there be cases when you would say that it's not, or they jumped on it too fast, as the teacher of my son said? Or you would just say that it's like the computer, it's like email, it's like we wouldn't want students to use handwriting, right? So is it that case, or is there a limit when you would say that, please, don't use AI?
I mean, I don't believe there is a limit on saying, please don't use AI. What is required is a quick adaptation of the teaching material and the way we are assessing. Because we are still, the problem is most of the tutors or academians who are complaining, they are because we have not taken enough measures or adapted our assessment or teaching methods as per the change in the external environment. It's almost like the external environment is changing at a pace, and we are asking our student not to change at the pace of the external environment. That's not a feasible expectation.
Okay, good. Thank you. So please tell us what you started to do and how you embedded it into the...
I mean, firstly, I've said to students, what we are doing here is learning a soft skill. So I'm old school. Everyone knows by now if someone have heard me. So for me, university is a place where we teach students. And teaching is not only about course material, content, but we teach them discipline, to sit in a place for a long hours, be on time, talk in a formal way. And now I'm saying we have a new tool, artificial intelligence, especially generative AI. We are not teaching artificial intelligence in itself, it's generative AI. So I say you need to learn how to communicate with this. It's the same thing, how you communicate with your parents, with your friend, with your lecturers, with your boss. There's a different way of communication you adapt with every stakeholder. Now there's a new stakeholder in your life, which is generative AI. Learn to communicate, learn to talk with it. And the stronger you get, the better you understand generative AI, the better your prompter would be and the better answer it's going to provide you. So what I have started doing in my classroom is saying, we are learning to talk with it. We're learning how to communicate with generative AI because it's not the same way you communicate with me. It's the same idea. You don't communicate exactly in the same way as you communicate with me, with your friends or your parents. There's a different way of communication, terminologies, language we use. So it's the same thing with generative AI. So we treat it as a soft skill, saying that's the future. That would be one of the basic requirements for future employability. That is, do you know how to communicate with generative AI minimum? And what I've started doing is I've started using a flipped classroom method, which is quite classic and traditional, and I've been doing that back home for a long period of time. So now I walk into the classroom and say, this is our today's topic. Let's say research onion. If I'm teaching them methodology, I say, okay, today's topic is research onion. Work in group, work independently, whichever way you're comfortable. Teach me everything about research onion. Use internet, use AI, anything, video, whatever you're comfortable or your previous knowledge or learning. Now, that's really helps me increase the engagement level because based on my personal experience, I think students are reluctant to participate or engage in classroom for two reasons. One, either the concept is new and they have never heard of it and they have no idea. And second, they have the fear of being wrong. Or what if they're not wrong? Or what if they're not specific enough? Or their answer is not good enough, doesn't have the depth. And the moment we say use AI, I noticed a change in their behavior. And it's a very drastic change. Everyone wanted to say something. So like, look what my AI said about this topic. And they were competing with each other, saying that my AI is giving a better response than yours. And my AI has more in-depth. And the level of engagement is to a point where I have to say, hold on, let him or her finish the point, and then we'll come back to you. And at this given moment, I have 3 hours of session. And certain days we are pulling that 3-hour session without a break. They just don't need a break.
Yeah.
Because it's more like a fun, and it's like, oh, look what I managed to find with my tool, or what is.
Do you have them with the prompts, or you just tell them that you find out, you go and you use the prompts you want?
Yes and no. Let them start with a blank sheet. I said, give a prompt that you think is more appropriate. Now, based on the answer, if I see a student who gets a really good response, I say, why not come and share what prompt have you written? So I keep my laptop connected. I say, which generative AI tool you have used. Usually most of them are a big fan of ChatGPT, so they use that. And I said, write your prompt here. Let's all see why your prompt is giving a different result than anyone else. And if I see none of them have managed to get a decent reply or modest response, of course, I've done my homework, so I have my prompt ready. I said, if I was looking for this information, this is what I would have placed as a prompt. Now, compare your prompt with mine. What is missing? What is different? And then there's an open discussion about, oh, I forgot to put in this. I forgot to mention that. Oh, I haven't informed that. And that helps them to self-reflect and learn. So I'm no longer a tutor. It's like a very open discussion. I'm a facilitator, let's put it this way. I fill in the gap of knowledge that I think they have not managed to capture well.
Yeah, but at the same time, and this is fantastic, but at the same time, as a lecturer, you are still there to help when you realize that actually it's the wrong answer, or it's not entirely correct, or it's not entirely in depth, or it's a bit misleading, right? So you are still there to kind of correct what AI said and what they found in AI, and help them how to find out and how to reflect on what's wrong and what's right, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. And then we are also learning how to implement the new knowledge in creating their research project. So it's basically they were using AI for all these purposes. What I'm teaching them is like how to use it in a more proactive way, how to get the best results out of it, how to learn to communicate with AI. So they're practicing a new soft skill that is really required given
And
the
they're
change in
getting
the external
comfortable.
environment.
You also mentioned that it kind of puts the weight off of them of being wrong, because it was was what AI said. So can you talk a bit about this, how you have them find out and be critical thinkers on what AI said when they ask about their own research title or research topic or whatever that it might be, when it's not just a general question like research onion, but it is about their own research or research topic?
That's a very interesting thing because that's one part of learning, that is challenge AI. I said AI does make mistakes, and it's because of the way we are giving prompters. So there was a challenge. It's a 3-hour session, and I said, if any one of you can come up with a perfect research title, which is feasible in terms of data collection, given that you have 12 weeks time, and which is meeting all the criteria of the research proposal, I'll end the session, buy everyone a cup of coffee. And the idea was like I was challenging. So everyone generated a research title. They were in a rush. Majority of them really gave bad prompters. And I started criticizing each and every research project, saying that, okay, this one is not feasible. It's too broad. It's not feasible with primary data, or what is missing. It lacks depth. And by the time I reached 10 students, I was like, they got the idea that, oh, AI is making mistake. And I have the students say, but it's written by AI. Do you understand? It's written by ChatGPT. It can't be wrong. It's like, no, it's not wrong. It's just that it's not precise enough because of certain reasons. So can you reflect, self-reflect, discuss among yourself. Why do you think it's not giving the answer that you want? And then they started discussing, and gradually, by the time they realized that what has to be done, we were in the time frame of 3 hours. But what is important is also to learn to challenge AI, also to learn to question, that is, from where it's taking the information. Because one thing that they have, most of them have really got the idea very well, is how is it responding? Where do they get the information? So it's access to data. And I said most of the academic resource for the time being are paid and restricted access, and ChatGPT does not have access to the academic resource. So fortunately, unfortunately, we cannot use it for writing a literature review or designing a research project, but it can give us ideas, a starting point. And of course, we did work on a few activities on saying, how can they design a research project by writing a proper prompter? So I had half a page prompter saying, these are the things you need to provide, and then see if it changes something in terms of response.
Yeah, this is very interesting. And this is actually letting them use AI and then teaching them how to challenge and actually look at what AI said is right or wrong. And this is something that I experienced in digital marketing right away as AI was launched. It was interesting when I told students that they can use it. It's always like, oh, can we? So it's interesting that within the university, it almost feels like it's like forbidden. It's like a forbidden fruit, which is not true. But then I'm like this. And it's very interesting that just use it, but then stop and go through and say, why is this right? Why? If you think it's right, why is it? And if you think it's questionable or you could do it better, how, why, and how can then you instruct AI to do it the next time, right? So it's, even if they think it's right, why is it? I think it's also important for them to see the why. And even if, you know what, I even told them that you can also ask AI why you gave me this answer. Why, what do you base it on? And then you can also again say what it answers. And like, as you said, Sona, really is discussing with it and use it as a partner, really, but at the same time being in charge. And when doing so, have you really seen kind of that they are able to develop their critical thinking, that they are able to challenge things, that they are getting more comfortable doing this? Because actually this is what we find the hardest, I think, to develop critical thinking, right? This is what we see as one of the scares, even at a level 7, actually, the critical thinking and the critical arguments, the balanced arguments back and forth. So have you seen evidence that this methodology you use helps them with that as well?
I mean, I would say yes, but of course, I need more time to work with them to see the final result. But I have seen a shift in their attitude and behavior. They no longer trust AI blindly. They are questioning it. They are reflecting, like you said, why this answer is right or why have it given this answer. So they're asking, if they don't want to self-reflect, I say it's okay not to self-reflect, but ask AI the question. Say why it have given an answer, or why, on what basis, what are the different factors or parameters that it has used to evaluate and come to this conclusion saying that this is the best possible answer. So question it, try to understand what's the rationality that is being used by AI to come to that conclusion. And what is surprising is that they're doing that and they're reading. I mean, in all honesty, I was struggling to make them read even a small paragraph, 200, 300 words. And now somehow they're comfortable reading pages in their chat GTP and failing to respond, read and say, oh, this is what my chat GTP is saying, or this is what my chat GTP says about my. And even when they were designing the research project, I've asked them to say, ask AI to do a personality test. If someone have no idea what's the topic they should select. It's like, I don't know what interests me. I said, that's okay. Ask AI to be your guide. Ask it to ask you certain questions. Say, I want to design a research project. I have no idea. Ask me random questions or ask me 10 or 20 questions to help me identify my area of interest in the field of management. And some of them were quite happy with the way it has helped them identify. It was asking questions and they were replying to it. And then it generated a list of topics that matches more with their personality, their past experience, their subject matters, which was of interest. So they were quite happy with the way AI was helping them narrow down the scope and say, what's their area of interest? Because I was like, you should be knowing that. And they're like, we have no idea what's my area of interest.
Yeah, and you're right that it becomes like a personalized tutor, because each student will get something that they are interested in it, right? And this is fantastic. Do you know any other examples of making it more personalized tutor or personalized tutoring to students? Do you use it also this way? I think you mentioned something like it becomes so much more personal to students.
Oh, yes. I mean, I really ask them to use it for, especially with dissertation student, time management. Because they underestimate that. They say, oh, 12 weeks, I can complete my dissertation in 2 to 3 weeks. I say, use AI to give you a personalized time management. Say, these are the number of hours I'm working. This is my working pattern. I'm a morning person, evening person. And that helped them to manage time. But inside classroom, I also use it for, challenging, brainstorming, and also compare. Write something. So what I did was very interesting. I divided the class in 2 groups. And I said, one group, try to answer or write something without AI. One group, I said, use AI to answer the question. And then we compared. And what was interesting was that the answer were not far away. So it was not that the answer or the points identified by AI was way better than the students who were not using any artificial intelligence, and they were very surprised. And they're like, "Oh, we managed to do it, and we could outsmart AI." It was like, "Look, you're as smart as AI. It's just a question of putting in an effort and energy, looking for the right information." And so it was the same question. One group was using AI to find an answer, another without AI. And they came up with more or less similar factors. Of course, the speed was not identical, but then it was something which they really enjoyed, and they were very proud, especially the group without AI, that they
Yeah,
managed.
I love this kind of competition. But is that because now you say that actually they also find out that they can do it without AI, but still it's easier to resort to AI. Is there a threat that once they get so much used to it, they will also use it to write a dissertation? They will also use it to do the literature review or secondary research, or just to write for them, because they are so used to it, and they realize that actually then I can go on. And if obviously I look at it and challenge it and but then I can get it to write my stuff.
Oh, yes. I mean, I don't see a problem. Why?
You don't?
I mean, honestly, I don't see a problem. Why someone would have a concern if students are using for writing a literature review? Like I said, it's the role of the tutors, management, higher education board to say, look, there is a change. Students are using it. We are still in a decisive moment where we are saying, what do we do with our existing assessment? So unless and until we have worked a way around it and found a way how to integrate AI into assessing or evaluating student work, we accept it or not, but they are already
Yeah,
using it, and they have been using it for quite a while.
I agree with you, Sonal. This is where I'm saying that when the feedback of the teacher that, oh, I don't know, my son or a student shouldn't resort to AI too quickly, but why shouldn't we? So I agree with you. At the same time, to universities is still not everywhere um, the main thinking. So it's also about, I heard this a lot of times. We should teach students the ethical use of AI. So what is it? What do you think is, what would you define as ethical use of AI, and where would you say that it's not ethical anymore? Is there such a thing as ethical use of AI?
I mean, the problem with AI and defining its ethical use at this moment is tremendously difficult because it's in an emerging stage in the industry life cycle. We don't know its limitations. We don't know what it is capable of doing. It's just being introduced to the world, and it's unless and until the artificial intelligence industry reaches a point where it says it's a mature industry, certain standards and parameters have been set and said, okay, this is what it is. Only then we can say, what is the ethical use? Because it's very easy and convenient to say that as a university, I'm going to stick with my traditional method of evaluating student work, whereas there is a tool and we say it's unethical for students to use a tool which is being used by majority of the businessmen, including tutors and individuals around the world.
I agree. That's a very nice way to put it. They also say unethical use is when they don't quote that it was found on AI, right? Or they don't properly annotate it in a way, even if it was the channel that, if they do a literature review, it will give them the literature and it's the actual literature that they will use, but it was AI which kind of prepared it for them, right? So probably that's what they mean. But I see your point, and this is so much forward thinking because, and let's talk a bit about this then. I don't know if you see around yourself opposing views in the faculty, but honestly, I've seen many who are, for whatever reason, are not that ready to implement it yet. Have you seen some of the things, or how to make sure that if you have a team or colleagues, and I believe you do, how to make sure that they also embed it, because then it's important for the students to get the same quality education regardless of which group they joined. And I sometimes feel that if they have one tutor who will not really talk about it, or probably just, I don't know, use it, oh, for brainstorming you can use it, some tutors say it, as opposed to those who actually are with you. So did you find some ways of training staff or raising the awareness within staff members?
I would say we are in a very, stage where we have three categories of people. One are like me, over enthusiast, willing to experiment with the new tools. Then there are others who are quite resistant and they think it's not something, it would take away the entire academia. This is not something that should be promoted. And then there are people who are quite indecisive, and they're somewhere in the middle saying, we don't know, is it good or bad? We'll just wait for someone from the management or university to make it official and say, is it okay to use it or is it not okay to use it? Now, personally, what I do is I think, because it's not formally a part of the university policy to bring in AI within the classroom or not to bring in AI within the classroom, there's no policy as such by majority of the university. So what we do is we try to do it by sharing the positive experience. So for example, I've shared a similar story that how it's helping me increase the overall engagement, how it's helping me to get students' attention, how it's helping me to increase the energy level within the classroom and create that strong bonding and link with them. Because for once, there's someone who is with them and saying, I love AI too. I'm a big fan of ChatGPT. Let's learn together using the tool that you really love. And then I always say to people, if you're not sure, just do it as an experiment. One session, 1 hour, half an hour, try to develop an activity around it and see if it changes anything. If you like it, continue. If you don't like it, there's no obligation. You can stop it at any given time, either during that session or after that. But I have to say it's addictive. Once you start bringing it in the classroom and start seeing the change in the dynamics that it brings to the classroom, most of the time tutors have said, I'm going back. I'm not removing AI from my classroom.
Okay, so you just have to try it, right?
I mean, it's the idea of trying and also showing them how to use it, because there are lots and lots of tutors. And it's not because they're reluctant to technology. It's also a question of finding time to understand what it is and how to use it. So,
and yeah, that's absolutely correct. And isn't it also the fact that you have to be comfortable going wrong, or with the fact that the student might know it better or might have a much higher experience of using that tool, right? But you are still there on the subject matter. You are still there to help them how they challenge AI on the subject, right? Because that is still the lecturer who is in the knowledge or in the power of that subject, right? Isn't it?
It's a learning process. Like I said, I wait for students to say what prompters they have used. At times they write better prompters than me, and I openly acknowledge that what you have managed to achieve is way better than what I would have actually written as a prompter. Congratulations. But what is really important is not to forget that we are the subject specialist. So even when I'm bringing AI to the classroom, I have to invest a huge amount of time ensuring that I understand the subject way more in depth compared to any given time. Because now it's not me who is doing the talking. The students are reading from a very intelligent platform, and I need to be sure that I have similar or equivalent knowledge or depth about the topic. And I'm able to match my knowledge with that platform and bring in something more to the table.
Absolutely. And also, it's probably also the the examples and more complexity in looking at things, that AI would always just give you that answer that you are asked about. But as a tutor on the subject, we really have a much bigger picture on it, and obviously can bring in examples of that from our lives. But can you imagine that, and I have to ask this as a kind of devil's advocate, that by the time as AI progresses and it becomes like a personal teacher and tutor, that the lecturer's job already has changed to become a facilitator, as you just described it. And yes, you have the subject matter expertise and you have to keep up with it. Can we come into a position where the lecturer's job is changing even more? How do you see the lecturer's job changing? And probably it will never be completely unnecessary to be a lecturer, because there has to be somewhere there. But how do you see the lecturer's job changing as a result of embedding AI into the classroom, into that extent that you do?
I mean, for sure, it's going to change. I mean, it's already changing given so many platforms, just even without AI. We have so many platforms which are able to deliver those online courses and design it using the advancement in technology. And with AI stepping in, and there are more and more organizations which allows universities to buy a subscription, and where a customized courses could be made. So for example, if it's you and me or a student, we could be enrolled in the same platform, and AI would assist me in understanding the concept, as long as I provide the background. And I say, I have a management background. You can say I have a technical background. And AI would explain the same concept using examples respecting our background, experience, knowledge. And it would be able to do a similar job in 10 to 15 years' time. But then again, like I said, it's not only, universities are not only for knowledge. I always say to students, and I've been in academia, higher education for 20 years. And I have been repeating this phrase for 20 years, that if you just need knowledge, if you just want to learn about a topic, you don't have to come to university with AI, without AI. There are lots of books in the library. Go read 10 books about or 20 books about the topic, and you have the knowledge. So university's role is not redefining, but we are traveling back in time and saying university is more than just creating a standardized program and delivering degrees. We are more into, we'll travel back in time, and we'll say it's more with adapting individual. Education would be redefined, saying, okay, if you want to learn about the concepts, we have AI, but we will be teaching you soft skill, we'll be more or less like a mentor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And the guide.
Yes.
It's like there's sometimes too much information, and you need a guide who kind of pulls it all together and helps you go beyond your boundaries, because sometimes you wouldn't go beyond the boundaries as a student, and then the lecturer is there, and I agree that actually it's not anymore just about that knowledge, actually, that this is my knowledge, I pass it on to you, but actually how I can guide you in doing it and pushing your limits, right? And with AI, actually, what I see is that as lecturers, we have more time to do this part of the job, this kind of mentoring, which I think is really amazing. But let's talk about, you mentioned the assessments, that those should change, and I entirely agree. And yes, we have the business simulation, which is one of them, which is really great, and you can really do it at this. You can use AI, but it's also something that you have to do yourself. But what other examples you've seen? It's not necessarily just research, but in any other subjects, or have you already seen some good examples where the assessment changed to make it more relevant to the area with AI?
I have seen few of them, not many, but a handful of them, where we are saying students to use AI to do the initial first phase of the research. So I had an assessment brief where students were expected to identify 2 companies from 2 time frame with disruptive innovation, and there were a few criteria of selecting. So we said, use AI. You don't have to learn to, and it took few decent prompters, but then they eventually managed to talk with AI, and then they get the list of why these companies fit the parameter, why these companies are not fitting the parameters. And there was an open discussion in the classroom about it, and they gradually learned, but while they were doing this, they also learned what is disruptive innovation. So I was there in the classroom and I said, okay, you need to select 2 companies. I did not bother to explain them what is disruptive innovation, what is not. But I said, okay, if it says, if you have a company in mind, put the name of the company and say, can this be used? If you don't have a company's name, just ask it to provide you the list of name and why it's providing you. So what is important is to say, like you said, a critical thinking and reflection of why something is there. What is the rationality behind it? So there are a lot of assessment where we have started using, recommending students to say, the stage 1, use AI, find the initial idea, and then work on it, develop and explain it. And there have been assessment where we have said, ask AI to generate a text. And we provided a prompter to the students. And then we said, criticize the text that is being generated using these parameters. Did AI manage to do justice with the text that it was generated? What is missing? So we said everyone have to use this specific prompt, get the text written, and then play my role. You're the marker, mark AI, and give feedback to the work of AI. So the assignment is more about they are playing the role of a tutor.
That's really great.
The AI write a text using a very poorly written prompt.
Yeah.
So that AI is making a lot of mistakes and it's not meeting all the criteria. And then we say, okay.
This is where you teach critical thinking and how to challenge it. It's really good. Yeah, and it really depends on the subject. We did some amazing one in digital marketing where they actually had to use a software to create email marketing strategy and then the actual creatives. So this is really something that, yes, you can use AI to help you, but you really have to do it. And I think AI also helps a lot with finding case studies or examples. As previously, it was up to the lecturer which kind of case studies they knew, or it was part of the content. But now we can ask students to find some examples, but AI can find it, but then they have to check those examples and do a kind of analysis, do a manual analysis. So they can use it to kind of give them some ideas and then go back, as you say, and do their work on that actual one and see what is it that AI didn't give them, but the manual analysis could do, right?
Yes.
And that, I think, is also a very good way for them to explore that, how it can help, where it cannot, right?
Oh, definitely. And AI can also help students. For example, I also lead data science program. So we have students in foundation year with no technical background. And in certain cases, we have recommended tutors to introduce AI in the classroom and say, every student is coming from a very different background. So we say, okay, if we are teaching you a basic concept of programming, let's say introduction to programming or Java, we said, these are the key terminologies. Now they have difficulty understanding it. So what tutors are able to do now is they're saying, okay, what's your background? They're asking AI to explain the same concept, which is quite technical and theoretical. Say, can you make it easy based on the student's background? So if majority of the class is from management background, we say, okay, help me teach this concept from management background perspective. And it's saying, okay, let's say this a class is equal to an organization, function is equal to employees. And then it's also helping tutor to adapt the examples, especially for concepts, finance, programming. These are very technical concepts. And
That's fantastic. That's fantastic, Sona. This again makes it more personalized to the student, because this is something that we face, that if there's one lecturer, they have only one background, right? They have only one way of experiencing life. They can only bring those examples because that is what they experience. They can read about others. But this is a fantastic way of actually always tailoring it to the student's background. That is fascinating. And what I can also see is that obviously we have a group of students, and some might be more at a more beginner level. And so far, obviously, it took us time, that we had to then obviously also explain it in a way that the beginners could understand. But with AI, we can also make it like, okay, explain it in a beginner way and bring some examples which would apply to those who are in a more expert level. And that is, I think, is a big step ahead. And again, saves time, so they don't have to sit there. I always got these complaints, obviously, from the more experienced ones, that we have to sit here until you have those who are at a beginner level, right? So that, I think, is really, really great.
I think,
Yeah,
I mean,
no, go ahead.
Radin, I think AI could be a very, very important and significant part of recruitment.
Mhm.
It could really help us identify the background of the student, the current level and knowledge, and find them the right program for right level, and also adapt few training courses or additional support session adapted to individual need, so that once they enroll in the program, they don't leave midway because they find it quite difficult or challenging. So it would really help not only the students or tutors, but it's going to help the institution
Yeah.
itself to identify students,
Mhm.
match students with the best program possible based on their personality, their future career, their past experience. It could really be a
It would
very,
have
very
retention, and it would have
it
retention.
has the potential. It really has the potential of being a very supportive assistant. Let's put it this way. It could
Mhm.
really help in improving the overall learning experience of students.
Mhm. Mhm. Fantastic. We're still not finished, and I'm very happy to have Dr. Sonal Jain with us today, talk about AI in learning and teaching and examples. Thank you to everybody who is following us live. Please add your comments, questions, or if you disagree with anything, you can do that live. If you listen back later, you can still message us, obviously. Let me just get to one. Can you just mention some tools you use, Sonal, or it's like overall, do you have some favorite? And one more question attached to it. Do you see a difference between students who have a paid AI tool versus those who don't? And do you see some kind of problems with inclusivity if you have some students who have access to a paid version? Some universities actually give students a paid access to ChatGPT, like University of Oxford and a few others, but not many do it at this stage. So in a way, like, it's up to the students to have the sign up for the paid version. So yeah, the question is about the tools, and do you see a problem of some students having a paid and others a non-paid version, a free version?
Um, I would say different AI platform is used for different purpose. And then you'll always have a favorite or one or two favorite. It depends on your personality, ease of use. You just fall in love with few of them for XYZ reason. Personally, I use ChatGTP for more text version. Now, if I have to work on a PowerPoint or a Word document or analyze an Excel spreadsheet, Microsoft has done an excellent job of integrating Copilot in its products. So I prefer using Copilot because I don't have to open any AI. I can click on the tiny bright button and I can say, please analyze, and it can really work collaboratively. And it can also produce a lot of tailor-made or custom-made Excel sheet ready to download and to be used. Then I'm a big fan of Perplexity as well, because for data analysis, it does a very good job when it comes to data analysis. If I have to find a video on Google or an advanced Google search, I use Google Studio or Gemini because it is Google's product. It has access to the entire Google ecosystem. So it's no one can matches the way it helps you find the videos or reports or link on the internet. So I call it, my personal terminology is advanced Google search. And I use Google Studio or Gemini for finding any relevant videos. So for example, I can simply copy paste a slide and I say, help me find a relevant video as an activity for this slide, or I could be more precise in terms, and it goes to YouTube, anywhere, and it finds the best video possible. And it also explains why this video is best.
Well, fantastic. That's a great tip again. But back to my question, that's okay, whatever tool they used, is there a difference between students having access to a paid version versus those who only have the free version?
I think it would depend on how the university want to use them. If, for example, I say using this tool is now a part of the program, and you will be constantly uploading document and using it for analysis, in that case, certain students might be at a disadvantage using an unpaid version because there is a limitation. But for the time being, as not majority of the universities are saying it's a mandatory to use it, the paid, unpaid version doesn't have much of a difference given the level of usage we expect from the students when it comes to AI. But let's say if it's data analysis and someone says you have to use it on regular basis for analyzing data, and you are allowed to use AI and collaborate with AI for this assessment, then a paid version would be required, because a free version would not be able to do a fair job or help the student, because there would be a lot of blockage, limitations on how many documentations you can upload. The depth of analysis is also limited. So it's again depends on how we are defining and to what extent we expect students to use or incorporate AI in their learning. So you're
right, and probably then more and more universities will have these kind of agreements with AI tools and give all the students an access to a paid version, like now a few universities already do. Okay, so 2 more questions, and I know that you also use it, and you already kind of like now referred to it, use AI to enhance the content and to go through the slides and add some more examples, or to find some more activities that are more exciting, which I think is always a challenge for the lecturers to update the content. So can you talk about this? And then the last question will be about the feedback and assessment. So first about content enhancement. So how do you use it?
Like I said, a Copilot does a very good job, thanks to Microsoft. They have integrated Copilot in PowerPoint and Word or Excel. So irrespective of whatever is the documentation type, I can simply click, write a prompt and say, slide 3, do you have recommendation to improve? Is it meeting the learning objectives? Can you revise the material and bring me or find me a more recent example? Or I can say, design me an activity. I can say, state the type of activity, or I can say, write a case study related to this slide or that slide. I can even give a parameter saying that slide 3 to 4 cover this topic. So write me a case study or scenario, or a small in-class activity, depending on whatever I want. I mean, just before this session, that's what I was doing, because tomorrow I'm teaching students qualitative and quantitative analysis. Of course, I used ChatGPT for some reason. I'm a big fan of ChatGPT. So I just placed both my lecture slides in there. And I said, I want students to create an activity. I want them to work in group, go out, do some interviews, design their own research questions, design their own interview question or survey questions, collect primary data, and analyze it. So I have written, it has really designed a master template with, of course, it took me 2 to 3 rounds to reach what I wanted. And now there's an activity. It has designed a research project with aim and objective, giving little guidelines to students. And then I've asked them to use AI to generate interview questions or survey questions, and then go out, collect primary data, come back and use AI to analyze that data, write the interpretation, and present it in the classroom.
Fantastic.
And
And this is-
everything took me 30 minutes. It was a
Wow.
slide deck of 40 slides approximately, and it took me 30 minutes to come up with a very
Wow,
wonderful
that's amazing. That's
45-page
amazing.
template.
And what I like about this kind of activity is that they're still involved. So it's not like just AI. They have to go out and have the primary research and then come back and use AI to analyze it and then use themselves to see what AI said. So it's fantastic how you integrate it, and it's a back and forth. It's a real conversation, right? So yeah, this is fantastic, Sonal. And the last question is, because I know that you've also started there, and it is a huge step in the industry, marking and feedback. So how much you use it to obviously save time, but at the same time, how you make sure that it's really fair and you can give personalized feedback.
I mean, the problem is the question of governance. For the time being, there are a lot of universities which have not stated it officially that we can use it for marking. However, what I'm doing is I have a personal project where what I do is I'm testing how to create an agent. Just in case if one day university says, yes, it's okay to use it for marking, I'll be ready and I don't have to spend time learning or sharpening my skills. So what I normally do is once I finish marking, I'm testing the strength of the agent by improving my prompt and say, okay, these are the assignments, you need to mark them. These are the parameters. This is the assessment brief. These are the detailed created rubrics. And then I say, this is how the feedback need to be provided. I provide few sample feedback the way I would have provided a feedback. And if I think it has not done a fair job, I explain, oh, no, this is not right. This is what I would have done, why I would have done that. And what is beautiful is it learns so quickly. And with, let's say, 6 or 7 attempts, it's more or less replicates. It's almost like I'm writing. It reaches the way I would have provided feedback. It matches because feedback is also quite personal. Each tutor has a way of writing the same information. So it matches my writing style. That is the way I would have wrapped the information and the depth of feedback, which is more or less standard across tutors, thanks to standardization meeting. But it's really beautiful. However, a human intervention is must at this given moment, given the type of assessment that, again, it also depends on how we write our assessment briefs. For the time being, it's giving tremendously positive result. 80 to 85% of the time, it's quite accurate. It's coming with similar markings, similar feedback. Those 15 to 20%, it's meeting, as long as someone meets the tick boxes, it does give high marks or low marks, but it's only 15 to 20%. So it's really impressive.
It's impressive. It saves a lot of time.
No, I'm sure someone from computing would be able to do a much better job because I'm not from technical background. So what is nice to see is someone from non-technical background can create an AI agent for marking. And it can really do a very good job. But then again, it's a question of governance for the time being. As universities have not officially stated we can use it, so we are reluctant and we are avoiding to use it in real marking. But at the same time, we have our own projects because sooner, not later, there would be a university brave enough to say, yes, let's.
I know. They are just not brave enough, and actually lecturers use it. We know.
Yes, no, but it would change. It would change a lot. It would really speed up the marking process, save tutors time, and
more personalized.
We could spend more time explaining to the students rather than marking. For me, what would be interesting is if AI can do the marking, and then as a tutor, I can spend time with student to explain things that is not clear and say what could have been done better in a more practical way than just a written feedback. So I could spend more personal time with the student because there would be time to sit with them and explain and
more forward thinking rather than just the marking. So this is the future. What else do you see in the future? If you think back just 2 years ago, we've come a long way. and we already, what you've shared, Sonal, is amazing. What is it that you can see if we sit here? Obviously, we don't know, but I can imagine that you have some thoughts in a year, 2 years, how you see it exploding and what you see as things that would improve, or probably some of the things that would be still challenging. So, how do you see the future AI in higher education?
I mean, I'm 1000% positive that 2 years from now, majority of the universities across the planet would have subscription to one of those AI platform. I'm not talking about ChatGTP or Copilot, but there are a lot of other organizations and institution or business which are creating these AI generated platform, which would allow us to create or design a course for any level, depending on the requirement of the universities. And an AI agent, it's more or less custom made AI agent, which would be generating those content and adapting those content and facilitating learning. There's already, I know Northumbria University, London Business School, they already have subscription to one or two of these platforms. So definitely that would be a very normal part. Like we have VLE, that would become a normal part of the university, because that would really add value to the learning experience.
Absolutely.
And secondly, would be there would be a change in the policy on how to use AI and to what extent we can use AI, and not only for students but also for academians. That is, to what extent we can bring AI to the classroom, how we can incorporate it, how it's going to redefine the learning experience, and what would be really a bigger question to reflect on is, on what basis do we give that degree? Because for the time being, we were saying we're evaluating the learning of a individual by giving them assessment, asking them to work on it, mark them, and then they can earn the degree. So how would we redefine the credibility of the entire?
Probably we would have to look at the whole journey. And as you say, it's really about not just AI, but how they are involved, and not just the assessment, which I think already now we should not only look at the assessment, but the whole journey, how they've actually come to that assessment, and not just the deliverable.
Oh, yes. And what would be important is, in evaluating and assessing that journey, we would need an AI, because it requires a lot of data, personal monitoring, detailing, and a huge amount of data would be analyzed. So not 2 years, but 5 years from now, a major part of student learning and assessment would be done by AI on how they're engaging with the course material, how they're answering. We can also recognize their habits, learning, the speed or the depth to which they went in terms of learning, because AI could give students the personalized learning experience as well. So that would really add value on, and that would become a major part of the university as well, saying that in addition to assessment, this would also be a part of the assessment in making a final decision. Do you earn a degree or not?
Yes, and let's not forget that in 2 years' time, or 1 year, even today, but in 2 years' time, 5 years' time, it will be absolutely essential. We would see it on job ads, how much they are familiar with AI and how much they have the experience. I mean, in the job ad requirement would be. So it would be absolutely impossible to give a degree without actually proving that they used AI and they practiced AI and they have experience in it, because those degrees will be worth more later on. So yeah, that's interesting and fantastic to talk about it with actual examples. Your students are so lucky, Sonal. And we were so lucky that you've been here. So thank you so much to Dr. Sonal Jain, who is Associate Dean and a very big advocate of AI. And really thank you for showing us some very, very good examples. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and those who will listen back later. Thank you, Sonal, and hope you come back to the show later. Thank you for being here. And I will end the show by saying thanks to our wonderful partners and sponsors. And one of them is Hashi Learning, who are publishers of professional development books and resources that support great teaching and learning in schools around the world. Level up your professional development today and visit hashilearning.com to explore the full range of the titles. Actually, I can show you the title here, harshlearning.com. Please turn to them. And I also would like to give a shout out to AQA, who know that teachers are the real experts in the classroom, and they work closely with teachers like you, combining your insight with their assessment expertise to create resources, tools, training, and guidance that genuinely make a difference. They are the UK's most chosen assessment organization, so you might even know them. And as we head into the exam season, AQA are focused on helping teachers feel supported and ready. If you want to find out more about what they do, then visit their website, which I put on the screen now. So this was our Tuesday's Twilight Show today with the wonderful Dr. Sonal Jain, and a very, very good topic. And I was so excited to have many of you here following us live. And really, it was a little bit of glimpse into the future, but I was very happy to see how Sonal already implements and embeds AI into the learning journey. It's really fascinating to see. And it was very interesting how Sonal mentioned that actually they read more. This is something I have never thought of, that actually previously, if you told them that, oh, I uploaded a support material, please read it, they didn't read it. And now that they ask the AI, they will actually read what AI says, right? So interesting times. And thank you everybody for being here. And please also follow our other shows. And I will see you every second Tuesday from 6 p.m. And I hope you enjoy the show.
Outstanding and world-class vision and world-class this.
I'm a real leadership geek, honestly. I've spent my whole career reading books and chatting to people.
I just find the whole thing and the announcement, the way it's been announced, bizarre.
If you could